Hi, this is Tatiana, and this is video, one of the games that narcissists play regarding smear campaigns. Before I get started, I wanted to say that I'm not a doctor. These videos are part of my own coping strategy, and my hope is that I will validate your gut feelings with these stories if you feel that you are in a narcissistic or abusive relationship and maybe the victim of a smear campaign. Okay, so in high school, a smear campaign is, dime a dozen, right? I mean, we're all those cliques, and everyone's got something negative to say, and that's not what we're talking about. A smear campaign is designed by the narcissist to isolate you, have others abandon you, guilt you, whatever it is, it's designed to make you suffer, okay? It's truly designed to make you suffer. And I think it seems to me more popular, people are doing smear campaigns online. In fact, I was just watching, back in my hometown of Hawaii, somebody just got sentenced to prison for a smear campaign. Some girlfriend he had broken up with, he had taken her naked photos and had posted it on Facebook. And I think he had to go to prison for like 6 months. That's a smear campaign, right? There's a controlling, narcissistic, abusive asshole who is, not getting what he wants from his previous victim and is lashing out with a smear campaign. So I have 1,000,001 examples of smear campaigns, so I'm going to try to limit it so I can upload this. And so here's an example. Let me go over my notes really quickly. What I wrote for smear campaigns are demonizing you or your significant others to your friends, your family, and your business associates in order for those associates to abandon you, or even to have those people be part of their smear campaign, right? They're already bothering you, and now they're going to try to get the people that you love and care about to participate in that smear campaign and contact you in order to get you to be nice to the abuser. Or, as I mentioned earlier, in order to guilt you into giving the asshole or bitch whatever it is that she wants. So, one example, a long-term example of a smear campaign was my ex-husband. That is the covert narcissist. No one knew that he was abusive. No one around me. And the reason they didn't know that he was abusive is because, his smear campaign covered everyone I knew. Everyone I knew perceived me the way that he had wanted them to perceive me, and I was completely ignorant. I had no idea that this smear campaign had gone on, and then I didn't know. I didn't know how everyone else perceived me. And then after we were married, he would do a smear campaign to any of our marriage counselors that we went to. So, and like I said, in the video I talk about it, that I was angry. And so that fed. I had to stop participating in my anger in order to stop playing that game, and over time had become aware of the smear campaign because I no longer was behaving like what he was trying to say, that I was the abuser. And so in that scenario, one that I was aware of, and I don't know how to describe it. It was the first time I was aware that something was off kilter with how others perceived me. So with my ex-husband, like I said, we were together for 12 years. And for some reason, somehow, every single New Year's, while we were supposed to be up until midnight, and then, you have your romantic New Year's kiss. That never happened. He was asleep, something happened, he wasn't there. Year after year after year. And then we were married, and something happened that first year, something happened that second year, something happened that third year, and I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not gonna wait for him on New Year's. Every romantic movie has the New Year's kiss, and I'm not getting a New Year's kiss. And at the time I didn't know that he was a narcissistic abuser, but I knew that I was codependent and that I needed to just find my own joy. So for New Year's, I had contacted my girlfriend, and her husband, who travels, was out of town. I said, okay, girl, well, let's go and, let's just party it up, just you and me for New Year's. Who knows what's going to happen with my husband? I'm sure his feelings aren't going to be hurt, because I didn't know. I didn't know that he was doing that on purpose. So I thought, he doesn't give a shit about New Year's. I'm out. And his aunt and uncle were coming up to visit, so we went up to this, place that they rented, and his brother was there, and the brother's girlfriend. So there's, 6 of us. Anyway, and we're there for several days, and New Year's, and then I think a couple more days. And I said, after the first, no, I don't, he knew a couple weeks earlier that I wasn't going to be there for New Year's. He already knew. We talked about it, and it's fine. As far as I know, it's fine. So we go, and on New Year's Day in the morning, we're all getting breakfast, and they were like, oh, blah, 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 this is what we'll do for New Year's. And I said, and I was surprised he hadn't told them that I wasn't going to be there. And I said, oh, no, I'm going up to my girlfriend's house. So Auntie, the aunt, says to me, what about the New Year's kiss? Well, this time, I'm like 6, 7, 8, I'm like 9 years into misery. So it was like heartbreaking for her to say that to me, because I'm heartbroken. I'm not going to my girlfriend's because I really want to spend time with my girlfriend, even though I love hanging out with my girlfriend. I'm really going on that particular day because I can't take the heartbreak another year. So when she says that to me, what about the New Year's kiss? I was like speechless, looked at my husband so that he would say something, because we already agreed that I'm going. So this is your chance to back me up, because, she's looking at me like I'm just a bitch. And so I look at him, and then he looks at her like there's nothing I can do about it. She's going to be gone for New Year's. That is my first conscious, example of smear campaign. I had no idea why he didn't back me up, but many years later, when I replayed what had happened, that was the first time I had seen how he was behaving with family and friends when I wasn't around. He was behaving like the victim, and then everybody else was believing that I was a bitch, which was not true. I was in so much pain. I was in so much pain. So anyway, so do you see, that was a very subtle example of a smear campaign. And he was doing a lot of that stuff behind my back. I just didn't know. Let me see. The worst smear campaign that I experienced was my ex-boyfriend's daughter had gotten her mother to the point of threatening to kill me. And nothing that her mother was screaming at me was true. So I did get a restraining order against the mother. Or not a restraining order, I got it given a emergency protective order. That was, and we see this very often in children when their parents are getting divorced. I don't want to say it's with children. Most of the time we see parents trying to convince the children, right? We have an ex who is demonizing you to the children so that the children come to you and say, so-and-so said blah, 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 and you're devastated because that seed has been planted in your own baby's mind about you for the rest of their lives, right? It's just so hurtful. That is such a hurtful tactic. I don't care how miserable, rotten, abusive your spouse is. If and when you leave them, you cannot demonize them, because in the end, your children will become healthy people, right? We all hope that they will become healthy people, and when they become healthy people, they will look down on you later for doing that to them. They will figure out on their own that their other parent is evil, rotten, and miserable. They will. It is painful to watch. It's painful to experience. You can protect them as much as you can with, how your custody works, etc. But when you demonize the ex-spouse, all you're going to do is lose. It's a narcissistic game, and you are not a narcissist. So don't do it. Don't do it. You know how much it hurts you, so don't do it to the others. That kind of stuff was played on me and my siblings when we were kids, and it was miserable, rotten. And I don't think that the adults were aware of how painful it was to us. All they cared about was hurting each other. Okay, so there's that example of the parents doing it. In this case, the daughter, who I believe is a narcissist, was doing that to get her mother to triangulate. I mean, she's played every single narcissistic game out there, but she definitely, absolutely had tried to tell her mother things that weren't true, had angered her mother to the point that she threatened to kill me. And once the daughter, which didn't work, I did get that restraining order. Her mother never contacted me again, and I never talked to the daughter again, even though we lived together for several months. When she left, because I would not talk to her, so it was incredibly uncomfortable in the house, I absolutely would not participate in any game whatsoever. Nothing. And at that point, the only way to not participate in a game was to not communicate. It was terrible. It was miserable. And I really had hoped that things would change. I really, at the time, thought, you just say you're sorry. And it never happened. So over time, I realized she was a narcissist, and then she moved out, and within 2 weeks, we get a phone call. Was it from an uncle? The mother, I can't remember, or the daughter. I think the mother called, and I think the daughter called, and then a couple days later the mother called saying I had done something to, I don't know, a fuel pump or something in her vehicle trying to kill her. And at that point I thought, these people are projecting onto me things that they would be willing to do, because this is so far from me. But it had built up to the point that the daughter was accusing me of trying to kill her. The mother was accusing me of trying to kill her. The family, so the mother's calling and advising, my boyfriend, the ex-girlfriend, baby mama, is saying, how everybody thinks that your girlfriend is trying to kill your daughter, so you're a miserable, rotten person. So the smear campaign was not only on me, but the smear campaign was your daughter, and everyone she knows thinks that you're with someone who would try to kill her, so you're a rotten, miserable fuck. So you need to dump your girlfriend and take your daughter back in and become a decent human being, right? That's a smear campaign. That's a smear campaign. And then let's see. I also talked about in the covert overt narcissist video about the man that I was with, and how when we got together, it was kind of fast, and I thought that, I felt confident that, what he had said about his wife was true. Everybody that I met within his industry was very open and welcoming to me. They knew he had been in just a terrible, miserable relationship for years and years and years, and they were so glad he was getting divorced, etc. And after we had moved in together, it became quite apparent that he had smeared his wife. He is the one who had talked shit about her infinitum, so that everyone in his social circle thought that she was a miserable, rotten person, when in fact he was the abuser. And one example I can give for that is that he had said, because part of one of his narcissistic games was that he was a perpetual victim. So he had talked about how, because the type of industry that he's in, there's a lot of parties and all that kind of stuff, and that she just refused to go with him anymore, and how unsupportive she was. However, each party that we had gone to after we had moved in, this wasn't not before, but after we had moved in, each party that we had attended, either he did something at the party to accuse me, hurt me, make me feel like I was doing something wrong, or after the party, he would gaslight me. He would make up something in his head and do something very, very, I can't give you details, but very degrading to me. And I think she just got miserable being treated that way. Like I said, I don't think she understood that he was an abusive person. I just think that after a while, she just was miserable at the parties, probably not knowing why, but the fact of the matter is that he consciously would make her, because I just saw him do it to me, make me feel rejected. And then once I have, stepped out because of, that he set that up, then he's going to tell everybody else that it was me, right? I'm so not supportive, etc. Okay, hope that one made sense. And let me see, last example that I have was, that guy, in fact, I just have the most wonderful, patient landlords, because after he moved out, he called and called and called all the time, lying, trying to make up lies in order to get my landlords to hate me, dislike me, distrust me, so that they would kick me out. And they would come to me. They are just awesome. And, I remember him coming to me, the landlord coming to me the first time and saying, he said, "You're moving out. How come you haven't told me that you're moving out?" And I had to look him in the eye, because we had had the conversation 2 weeks earlier. I had looked him in the eye and said, "I don't have a job yet, but I will let you know by the middle of the month if I'm going to have to move out." And I shook hands with him, and then here we are 2 weeks later, and he's not even 2 weeks later, and he's saying, "So-and-so, called me saying that you're moving out. Why didn't you tell me?" And I said, this is the first time I said anything negative, and I said, "He is fucking with you. He is fucking with you in order for you to come to me so that I feel embarrassed." I said, "Please remember, I looked you in the eye and I shook your hand, and that means something to me. My word means something to me." And that was a smear campaign. He was trying to get those people to kick me out or to distrust me. And I'm so grateful that they came to me and asked. Okay, so that gets me to segue into the conclusion of the matter, is that if you are the subject of a smear campaign, as in that example, that my landlord was for months being told lies about me. It was very, very painful, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to explain myself. But most of the time in a smear campaign, you will not have the opportunity to defend yourself, either because the smear campaign was so good that those people just plain dropped you as a contact or friend or support system, or you're ignorant of it. You don't know that a smear campaign has been done on you. And this can happen in your workplace, all over, many different areas of life. There can be a smear campaign. It's a good one for a narcissist to use on anyone in their life, right? Anyone. It could be kids, classmates, co-workers. Narcissists can get awesome supply, because most of the time people don't know that they are part of a smear campaign. So this is what I wanted to say, is that if that happens to you and you become aware that a smear campaign has been done, I want you to, had to write it down, Walk through a smear campaign with your chin up, knowing who you are, not explaining who you are, just know who you are, because people who believe a smear campaign were not your friends in the first place. Okay? My father did a smear campaign on me after he devastated me, and my sister believed him. And I explained myself once and realized I'm getting nowhere. That person has made a choice to believe the other person, and any explaining that I do only causes me more pain. It's just more painful to explain yourself to someone who's not believing you. So give yourself permission to know they were not your friends in the first place. So let them go. Okay? That's the best advice that I can give you, because I have lived through bad smear campaigns, and you just have to know who you are, move on. Okay? I close all my videos with reminding you of the number for the National Domestic Violence Hotline number. If you want to give them a call and talk to them about a smear campaign, or what's been said about you, or who has said something about you and how that's affecting you, and how to cope, they will help you find some resources on how to deal with that. And identifying if that is an abuse tactic that's going on in your life. Excuse me. The number is 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-SAFE, 1-800-799-7233. Give them a call. It's anonymous, 24 hours a day in the United States, and they are just a really great resource. They're really, really great, and I have called them for the most random crap when I needed someone to talk to, and they have always been helpful. Okay? I am sending you much love.